The title of this story is Forks in the Road, Shaping My Life's Path. Forks in the road are decision points in your life. Growing up, you gain experience as you continue through life. And one of my first experiences, or the first fork that I come across, was running around with a neighbor boy that lived just 2 houses down from where I lived on 25th Street. And we'd run around the neighborhood, and there was one incident. Was about 3 houses down from where I lived, and we were in the alley. And this particular house, from the view of the alley, had a big old plate glass window in the back. And the neighborhood guy that I ran across, well, I was running with at the time, he decided to throw a rock through this plate glass window. Of course, we ran. You didn't want to get caught. So that was one of the first incidents I had with this boy, neighborhood boy. There was another one, another incident, another alley, about a block away from where I lived. And I think it was like the first house on this block, but we're in the alley. And the back of this house, they had a brick wall, I believe, but part of this wall was had glass blocks in it. Well, once again, glass was an object, and so I guess me and this boy, we was throwing rocks against these glass blocks, and of course, breaking these blocks. So at some point, I had decided that this guy was not the kind of role model that I needed to be around. He was destructive and did not care about other people's property whatsoever. So I'd made a decision, and I stopped running around with this kid. Said, this is just not good for me. Later, I'd forgotten what this kid's name was, but I did a little research, and I found his last name was Loveless. And I was saying, well, that's kind of fitting for this kid, because he didn't show any love towards anybody. So another fork in the road that I was involved in stealing. And I had participated in stealing items from different stores. There was one store I remember that I switched price tags on the items. So I'd put a cheaper price tag on an item, then I'd go buy that item at the cheaper price. Back in the 60s, that's kind of how they priced all their items. They put these little price stickers on everything. So that was one of the methods that I used. There was another store. It was about 3-4 blocks away from my house, over on the main highway. It was like a 4-lane highway I had to cross to get to this store. And kind of thinking back, I probably shouldn't have been crossing that 4-lane highway. But anyway, that's another story. So I would steal stuff from this particular store. I'd probably stuff it in my pants or something like that and walk out the door. There was one day that he caught me doing this, and Obviously, I thought I was smart getting away with it. I'm sure I gotten away with it once before. So why not do it again, right? But I did get caught, and the way I got caught, it was pretty obvious what I was doing. So it kind of shows my stupidity, the way I look at it. You know, you're a young kid, you think you're getting away with stuff, but you're probably pretty obvious. So I'd seriously thought this one over, and I decided to never steal again. So that was my second fork in the road here. And my third fork in the road is when I gotten older. I'm sure maybe in my later teen years, I started swearing. And I was always using offensive words, cuss words. Not quite sure how long this lasted. I think it was over a year, maybe pushing 2 years. I really can't be sure. You know, you don't put a time period on when you start. But there was an incident that happened to where I realized I hurt someone with my words. And once I realized that, and I guess that kind of deeply affected me, I decided right then never to cuss again. Never do it again. So the next fork in the road actually had to do with drinking liquor. And mainly when I did drink, it was usually beer, and I liked dark beer. And we would go to these pizza places, and I think it was Budweiser, but I liked Budweiser dark beer. I really didn't like the regular beer, but the dark beer I preferred. Another drink that I would drink, believe it or not, is Scotch on the Rocks. Not quite sure how I got started on that. But that one was Scotch on the Rocks. That first drink was very strong. But after I had that first drink, the rest of the Scotch on the Rocks went down a lot smoother. My theory on this is must have killed my taste buds, that first drink. So always based on my different experiences with drinking, they typically did not have a good outcome. Now, I can name several of them. In fact, I think there's several stories that are separate than this one that I have included. One of those was on the golf course, where I kind of hurt my head very bad. That's another story. There was another one. I was over at someone's apartment. I consumed too much liquor. This happened to be vodka in this case. I had drank just too much. And I fell and I hit a glass coffee table, and I shattered that coffee table. And during that same incident, I started to hyperventilate at one point. And the girls that I was with got a paper bag and made me breathe into this bag. I think that must have worked. Got me out of that problem. So after all these, I had decided not to drink liquor again. Just stopped it. So all of these different decisions, running around the neighborhood, breaking glass windows, going wrong with the wrong crowd, stealing, swearing, drinking liquor, I stopped all these things. And that's what I become to what I am today.